You're listening to Catholic Chicago. Ahead, the Archdiocese of Chicago brings you programs about the people, events, and issues that touch our lives. Welcome to Catholic Chicago.
Good morning, everybody. This is Bob Gilligan of the Catholic Conference of Illinois, and thank you so much for listening and watching, live streaming our program here today on this bright, cold Sunday morning here on March the 20th, I believe it is, if I get my dates correct. We're trucking right through March here, halfway through Lent, and boy, it's going to be, we have a break coming up in Springfield in a week or two, so which will be much welcomed. And the legislative session is less than 60 days from now. They will adjourn, if I got my math. No, 30 days. Is that right? Yeah, we have May 19th. So it's 60. I can do math early in the morning. Well, anyway, let's get off math and get back to our topics here. Here's a rundown of our show this morning. Let's do it this way. The first topic, we're going to talk with Molly Rumley. She's with the Illinois Right to Life organization. She's going to talk about a couple bills that are pending in Springfield that are of concern and asking people to get engaged in trying to stop those bills. And also, we'll talk a little bit with Molly about the new March for Life Illinois that is going to happen tomorrow, the 21st, down in Springfield. We'll switch gears then, and we're going to talk to, we're going to really switch gears, and we're going to talk to Lynette Van Haverbleek. I think that's her name, Van Haverbleek. Yes, she is with Mount Olivet Memorial Park Cemetery. She's going to talk about a bill that her organization and the Association of Cemeteries and ourselves have been working on in Springfield to stop House Bill 3158. It's regarding human composting. And we'll talk a little bit about what that is, where the bill is, and what you can do about it. And then finally, at the conclusion of our program, we're going to wrap up with Bobby Sylvester. He is with Empower, and he's going to be talking about a subject that we're much familiar with these days on the scholarship tax credit, trying to extend that program, our advocacy efforts with Empower and some more other organizations. And also, I think we're going to have a principal on as well from Central Illinois, Noreen Dillon from St. Mark's School in Peoria, talk about the importance of that program. So without further ado, let's do this. Let's jump right into our program here this morning, and hopefully through the magic of technology, we will have Molly Rumley on the screen, on the air with us. Molly, you with us? There she is. It worked. It's magic.
Hello.
Hello. It's good to talk to you and good to see you this morning. And as I was saying at the intro, Molly, I don't know if you heard it all, but talking about two bills in particular that we're concerned about. It's actually the same bill, just in two different chambers. They do that just to confuse everybody. And also talk maybe a little bit about the advocacy program that's going to happen. It starts tomorrow with the March for Life, Illinois. So talk to us about a little bit about the legislation as we know it. And the numbers are Senate Bill 1909. And the House bill number is 2463, and they're both on the very same identical subject. But it looks like one is not going to move at all, but it looks like the other one might. Why don't you take it from there, kind of give us the background.
Yeah, that's right. So Senate Bill 1909 is the bill that we believe will be the bill actually moving. And what this bill does is it's a direct attack on the pregnancy help centers that are all over our state that have done so much to help women in need. And what this bill does is it claims to want to protect the ability of women to make autonomous decisions regarding abortion, but it really forces pregnancy centers to actually help out with women getting abortions, and it makes them civilly liable for engaging in. It makes these centers civilly liable for engaging in activity that they believe is deceptive, or if it conceals any what they're calling a material fact. The problem with this bill is that there are virtually no definitions for what any of that means. What is a material fact? What's considered to be deceptive? What are we allowed to say? What are we not allowed to say? And so it's unconstitutional in the fact that it violates the 14th Amendment because it's so vague. And it violates the First Amendment because it's telling people what they can and cannot say when it comes to something that they care deeply about.
It's ironic to me that those that purport to be quote unquote pro-choice, it seems like they only want one choice. Because pregnancy help centers, they have also been referred to as crisis pregnancy centers. For people, I think most of the people listening or watching to this know what those organizations do. And they really are kind of an amazing network of very small organizations. Many of them are affiliated with a church, and it can be just about any denomination. Who are really there just to help women in need who are pregnant and are having problems. That's really, they're struggling with their basic human needs. They can't get, maybe they don't know where to turn for like childcare for their their children they already have. Because they're pregnant, maybe they can't work as much, so they can't get child care. They help them in some simple ways by just giving them diapers or baby formula, things like that. They really, and then, that's kind of the minimum. And then there's others that I'm aware of that, for example, like Aid for Women in Chicago, they even have 2 places where women can come and live for up to 2 years absolutely free, where they can care for their child, they can reside, and they can kind of get their life together because of this difficult situation they might be in. Why would you want to stop that or curtail that? I kind of lost on that.
It's kind of lost on me too, but I think that they realize that women would not want abortions if they knew that they had the resources that they need. The biggest lie that the abortion industry is giving to women is saying that no one's here to help you. And that is so false. And it's exemplified in what the work that these pregnancy help centers do. I mean, they provide free counseling, and that's even if you decide to get an abortion, they'll still be there for you afterwards and say, we'll counsel you through the aftermath of this. Free ultrasounds, and it's not limited just to, they don't turn anyone away. I mean, these are free resources to anyone who feels that they need them.
Yeah, it is. And so where is this bill now in the process? It's Senate Bill 1909. That's the one that we're most concerned about because, as you indicated, it would kind of squelch their free speech rights. So they would have problems counseling women because they don't know what is a deceptive practice. They don't know what omission of a material fact is. So they're kind of walking on eggshells if this passes in its current form. So how that from a legal perspective is very intimidating to any industry out there if you didn't know what were the rules of the game in your speech and what you have to say. Where's the bill now, and what do you think is going to happen? I mean, talk to us a little bit about the process and how this is going to play out or not play out.
Sure. So the House bill, as we discussed, is not moving. It's back in the original committee. It's in rules because the deadline to get bills out of the committee has already passed. The Senate bill has been given an extended deadline, so it's currently in the executive committee in the Senate. And as I said, the deadline has already passed, but they gave it an extended deadline. So we're expecting it to come up in the next week or two, probably. I believe the deadline that they gave it was March 24th. So probably this next week, we'll see it pass out of the Senate committee. That is nothing to be discouraged about. They will always have the votes to get it out of committee.
Right.
And from there, it will go to the Senate floor, where from there, we hope that it doesn't pass, but it could, and then the whole process will begin again in the House.
Yeah. And all that has to happen within the next, like I said, it's like 60 days or so. Today's March 20th. And so we're scheduled to adjourn. And I think they are going to adjourn on May 19th. So yeah, we're under 60 days now, but that's no problem. They can do things very quickly, as unfortunately we've learned. So we can we can ask people to call and write about Senate Bill 1909. It's probably not too early to start that process to express reservations about it. As you indicated, the bill's going to be amended, we think, but we don't know when and how. And we don't know what it's going to say. So we're kind of like, it's kind of a strange time right now. But let's talk a little bit about tomorrow and the next day, because now I understand that the We Dignify group is going to have the March for Life Illinois. It's not March for Life Chicago anymore. They're going to be doing an advocacy day down in Springfield, and that begins tomorrow. And so talk a little bit about what that's going to, what people can expect and what happens beginning tomorrow.
Yeah, so the March for Life Illinois is such a great opportunity, and it couldn't have come at a better time with this bill pending right now this week. So the rally will begin at noon and tomorrow in Springfield. And then from there, they will be marching, I believe, to the Lincoln statue. And this is just a great way for people to show their support for life in our state. But then afterwards, it's also a great opportunity for individuals to be able to go and talk to their state representative or state senator in person. And this really means a lot to the legislators who are there, who really do care about what their constituents say. And so it's a great opportunity. Nothing is more effective, I think, than going and personally having a conversation with your representative or senator and saying, these are my concerns, and letting your voice be heard. It's truly an opportunity to be a voice for life in our state.
This is the event that people may recognize that we used to do on January 22nd in Chicago. There used to be a big March for Life Chicago, and it was focused on, the right to life issue. And it really was, it was always in early January, mid-January. And it was focused on Roe v. Wade and the overturn of Roe v. Wade. And the thinking is now that being that Roe is gone, gratefully due to the Dobbs decision that came out last June 24th, that they would like to keep the energy going on this march to have a public witness to the importance and sanctity of unborn life. And so the desire now is, and this is the first year that we're doing this, I think you're going to see this as kind of a transition year. So you'll see that the march that used to be in January is now going to be in Springfield, and which is really appropriate because that's where the decisions are being made now at the state capitol with regard to life and all that, those related decisions, which was true before, but it's even more so now. So as you can see on the screen, what you're seeing is that there's going to be a mass for Catholics. I think that's at 10 o'clock. There's a Lutheran mass, and there's an Orthodox Christian mass. So there's kind of the different denominations are stepping up, and they're going to have masses to begin the day. And then they'll make the transition after the mass to do the march, and I think that's around noon. And then after the march around the Capitol, individuals participating will be asked to go into the Capitol to meet with their state reps and their state senators, which is really a great idea. We've done this before. I think we did it around the RHA a few years ago, the Reproductive Health Care Act, and we had thousands of people there. I don't know, Molly. I'm very optimistic about this effort. I think this is going to grow through the years. This year's the first year they're doing it down there, so I think we're kind of working out the kinks. But I kind of like this notion of like doing masses, different denominations having masses early in the day, and then going over to the Capitol and doing a public march. I think that's kind of I think this is going to work. Is my point. What do you think?
I think so too. I think it's a great opportunity, and we all know that Roe versus Wade being overturned did not end abortion. And so it turned it over to the states. And this is a great way to let people in our state know where Illinois is on the abortion issue. And I truly believe that the vast majority of Illinoisans are ultimately, I think that they can be persuaded onto the side of life. And this is where the battle is. We are ground zero for the life issue.
I do too, because I think people do want certain restrictions on the abortion procedure. Public opinion bears that out. We've just gotten to this after the decision, this kind of like it's either all or nothing kind of thing right now. But I think what's going to happen over time is you're going to see us hopefully start to advocate for some policies that make sense. You know, the ones you guys are talking about putting clinics under certain health and safety regulations, having deaths investigated by coroners if there's something happened. So I think there's some reasonable things we can start talking about here pretty soon. I'm optimistic about that. Before we conclude, let's just go back to the legislation. So we want to urge people to call and write, and it's Senate Bill 1909, correct? That's the one we want to do. And I think we have this on our website, I believe.
Yes, that's right. Senate Bill 1909, if they can call, write, or fill out witness slips, that'll be coming up in this next week if it's heard in committee. It's always great to have thousands in opposition. Great.
Molly, thanks so much for taking some time this morning. We'll see you down there later today, I think. This starts later tonight and keeps going all week long for us anyway. As Molly Rumley from the Illinois Right to Life, she does a lot of the legislative work along with Ralph Rivera. They're doing good stuff down in Springfield. Let's take a quick break. This is Bob Gilligan of the Catholic Conference of Illinois. We're going to come back. We're going to switch gears to talk about another issue we've been involved with, which does pertain to the life and dignity of the human person. It's regarding human composting. That's legislation that is actually moving a little bit in Springfield, and we're going to try to stop that. We're going to be talking to Lynette van Honderbleek here after this quick message. Don't go away. We're right back.
Caring adults make all the difference in the lives of adolescents. Catholic Charities understands this, and our mentorship programs provide a free opportunity for young adults to spend time with volunteers who genuinely care about them. This program is ideal for youth aged 9 through 12 who may need support navigating the challenges of childhood and early adolescence. Our amazing volunteers serve as friends who help youth recognize their strengths and empower them to reach their full potential. Catholic Charities conducts a thorough background check on every volunteer, and our program coordinator closely monitors and supports every relationship. Mentoring is a fun after-school program that can help young adults build confidence and enjoy fun activities with their peers, too. To learn more, visit CatholicCharities.net or call 312-655-7970 in Cook County and 847-782-4224 in Lake County. We're connecting youth with great role models. Join us today.
This is year 44 for me teaching. When I started here, there were teachers here that had taught me when I was a student. Now I'm the old person. Right now, I teach junior high math. I love when kids find what I'm teaching to be fun and they get it. I see that light bulb go off and it's a thrill. People are always amazed. What? You're here for 44 years? It's hard for me to believe, frankly. I love what I do. Every summer I think, oh, I miss the classroom. Even on the weekends, I think I can't wait to get back on Monday and teach those quadratic equations.
Shape the next generation of leaders. Teach. Apply today at archchicago.org/schooljobs.
Do you have an old bicycle that's not being used? Consider donating it to Catholic Charities Veterans Bike Project of Lake County. Skilled volunteers are refurbishing bicycles to make them safe and ready to be used by veterans to get to and from their new places of work. We also gratefully accept financial contributions that are used to purchase bike helmets and other safety accessories. Our veterans have faithfully served the United States, and now it is our privilege to serve them. For more information on the Veterans Bike Project of Lake County, call 847-782-4219. That's 847-782-4219.
Catholic Charities' Refugee Resettlement Program has been especially busy this year, assisting individuals and families who have fled dangerous situations in their homeland, including Afghanistan and the Ukraine. The Refugee Resettlement Team helps with everything they need to start to rebuild their lives in a new country, including housing, employment, clothing, food, English classes, and referrals for legal and immigration services. The refugees are tremendously grateful for the compassion and practical help they're receiving, and they're giving back and helping each other plan for a brighter, safer future. Volunteer opportunities are currently available for those who would like to be family mentors and tutors so children and adults can practice English. To learn more about these rewarding opportunities, call 312-655-7096. That's 312-655-7096.
Welcome back, everybody. This is Bob Gilligan of the Catholic Conference of Illinois, and thank you so much for listening or watching the program here this morning on WNDZ 750 AM, and we're streaming also on YouTube. I do not know the answer to that question about where streaming on YouTube is, but you can find that out yourself. But if you just Google or you would type in on the search Catholic Conference of Illinois Catholic Radio. Let's take a transition here, and we're going to talk to our next guest is Lynette von Haverbeek. Did I get it close, Lynette?
You're close enough.
Close.
It's close enough, Bob.
Great. Lynette is she's with Mount Olivet Memorial Park Cemetery, and she is part of the Illinois the Cemetery Association here in Illinois. And we have had an interesting month together. We've been spending a lot of time talking about various legislative issues. It's been a heavy cemetery-focused session so far, and despite Lynette and I's best attempts, we just keep trucking along here on this issue. And Lynette's going to talk this morning a little bit about one of the issues that we've been dealing with. We talked about this once like a long, long time ago, but it was about the bill is House Bill 3158, and it's regarding human composting. And Lynette, why don't you tell us what your concerns are about that bill and how you see it?
Well, human composting is kind of a new technology, I'll say. It's approved in very few states. California, for example, just approved it, but had an effective date in 2027 because they're just going to sit back and see how it moves forward. So Illinois is now wanting to approve this as a form of disposition. And I feel like there's just a lot of questions that are unanswered. I believe that we don't need to just rush into this. Like, sometimes it's okay not to be one of the first states to approve something. It's okay to just stand back and let it play out in other places. There's a lot of things, a lot of aspects of this that I feel aren't being looked at. You know, even if I can say this, and outside of the, I'm going to go outside of the religion.
Oh,
and,
yeah,
and
yeah,
just,
that's
you know,
yeah, that's our,
because I know that I'm preaching to the choir here on that. So I just feel like it's not understood what can happen afterwards. So when you own a cemetery and you see what we see, and I'll give a great example. In around 2000, it became really popular for mom to just say, I don't want to be a burden. Just cremate me and scatter my cremains somewhere. And so they did that. And then they realized they didn't have a place to go. Mm-hmm. Or they went back to where they scattered mom's cremains, and now there's a condominium built there, and where's mom? You know, these sorts of things. And so I feel like there's emotional distraught that comes with that afterwards. And I don't feel like it's addressed here in this bill. And I don't know that people are considering that as a possible something that could happen down the road. The other thing is, when you have human composting, I don't think that people understand what that means. Like with cremation, you get this little box of cremains back. With human composting, you get a cubic yard of what I'll call soil matter back. And just so we understand what a cubic yard is, that's the maximum that typical standard pickup trucks should carry in terms of soil. It's a large amount. It's a 10-foot square, 3 inches thick. I Googled this because I wanted to conceptualize it myself, and it's 54 40-pound bags of topsoil.
That's a lot.
This is a lot of matter.
Yeah.
And then they're talking about, oh, well, you can still put it in a cemetery. And as a cemetery owner, I'm saying, where? I already can't get rid of all the dirt that I have, because we open a grave, we take dirt out, we put a vault in there, all the dirt doesn't go back into the grave. I already have a dirt issue here, in all honesty. So that's kind of interesting. So people say, oh, we can just make and if I'm rambling, Bob, and you need to jump in, know me, just jump in, because I'll keep going. But, what do you do with it? You bring it home and they think, oh, we'll make a garden, or we'll, make a flower bed. That's great. They put a flower bed in next to the house, and grandma's now filling this flower bed, and they've got roses growing up, and then the foundation cracks, and now they've got to dig out the flower bed. What happens to grandma? And I'm being very literal here, because these are things that I've seen with cremation come up with where people have scattered cremains.
It's interesting. It's interesting that because what you said is very true. Our perspective is that there's a certain dignity and respect afforded to a human a person, and that should carry on even after death, and that's why we believe that they should be buried, or cremains should be placed in a sacred place where, and that is our religious belief. But it's interesting because, like many of the issues you're bringing up, there's also a secular component to all that too, and the secular component to that is what you just said, is like, okay, what if this thing just gets scattered, the remains just get scattered anywhere? There's no place to come visit. There's no memorialization of that person. It is a little like sort of just kind of cutting off our past from our future. Where do your grandparents go to visit you? And what it's interesting that in a society that is so obsessed with the what is it, the Me-21 or the chromosome studies and where your ancestry came from, that we're so quick to cut off, in this example, our past. There's a tie in there, is my point. And I think what you're bringing up is the very same things that we're trying to say in a different way, which is like, it is important for future generations to have a place to respect the dead and go to see them and that kind of thing. And then your point is like, okay, well, what happens if you put them in the backyard and what did you say? There's a flood and you have to dig up the basement. There are some practical things here too.
Absolutely. And what if you sell the house? Now what happens?
Yeah, right. Has anybody thought of that?
Now what do you do? Do you leave grandma? Do you take her? Do you have to disclose to the people? And what if you don't disclose and then they find out? I mean, I came in this morning and we're dealing with that exact situation where somebody bought a house and found 2 sets of cremains, and they called us because they were cremated through our crematory, and they're like, "What do we do with these?" These are real issues that we deal with here in a cemetery, and having a crematory, daily.
No,
and if you're a lover of history, it goes beyond a cemetery. People are like, oh, you own a cemetery, you just want people to be in a cemetery. But actually, I love history, and I love cemetery walks, and I love hearing about who's here and who's at other cemeteries. And beyond that, I'm a genealogist.
Yeah,
and right. People need a place to go.
Yeah,
they want to see that.
And that is something that I don't think the people who are behind this have really thought through. I don't know if they really care, that kind of thing. Lynette, you testified, it seems like a year ago, but that was only 3 weeks ago.
It was like yesterday.
Yeah, it's funny how time's just kind of cranking along. So tell us a little bit about that experience. So this bill did come up, and it was a little bit of an awkward hearing. The bill sponsor was not able to be there because she was ill, and so it was an interesting hearing, I thought. Tell us about your impressions about that experience.
So that was my first time testifying, and very, very nervous, obviously. But it was it was kind of interesting. I really felt personally like it was a done deal when I sat down to testify. Like it was, I don't know that I was heard. I hope I was, and I hope that was part of it. But it was interesting to say the least. How things are done there, and how they can get passed out of committee, and how they can get delayed. And there's little nods here and nods there that I didn't pick up on, but you certainly did, having been through it down there and understood deeper what I didn't. It was interesting.
So let's talk about what we could do about it now. The bill number is House Bill 3158. And as Lynette was indicating, it looks like that there is going to be some activity on it this week. I think they have to take that bill back. There's so many of these bills, I might be getting them confused. I think they're going to take that back to the committee for an amendment, but it's going to go there's going to be an effort to pass it. That effort is going to happen this week or next week, depending on how they do with deadlines and that kind of thing. And so really right now, all we're asking people to do, it's really quick and easy to do, is just to pick up the phone or send an email to express their opposition to House Bill 3158. The title of the bill, we are calling it human composting. They call it natural organic reduction. Is that correct? Is that what I got? Yes.
Yes, Natural Organic Reduction Regulation Act.
Yeah. So on the website, you can see there's our opposition to House Bill 3158. It's pretty easy to do. All you have to do is make some clicks. You can find out who your state rep is and who your state senator is. There is already a message in there. If you're really not sure what to say or how to say it, you can just click those buttons and you can send a direct message to your state senator or your state rep. It'll ask your address, that kind of information, and it'll lead you right to who your state rep or state senator is. And also on there is there are the phone numbers and contact information. We believe that a call is better than an email. So if you could take the extra, I don't know, how long does it take to make a phone call to two individuals, your House member and your state senator, all you need to do is just say that you oppose House Bill 3158. You're asking the lawmaker to vote no. They generally won't ask many questions. They may ask you something, and you just from there, just tell them what you think about the issue, and it's that simple. They may take your name. They may hopefully they will log the phone call. And so what Lynette and I and many others are trying to do is to just build up enough opposition to the bill that, at minimum, lawmakers start asking questions about some of the things that Lynette is bringing up and I'm bringing up, and hopefully that will lead to confusion and they won't be able to pass this bill. Lynette, on the other side of it is basically what? The environmental groups, is that it? And the industry? That's kind of the proponents as I see it.
Yeah, and I want to, before I jump into that, I want to add one more thing. I didn't realize until I was in Springfield last week with you how important it is that I had people say, oh, I already filed a witness slip, but sometimes you need to go back and file them again. Right. So if you're asked to do it, don't just say, oh, I already did it, because it changes from week to week. You may need to file it again. And those are important. I didn't realize how important they were. They're important because with every time they bring the bill up, they announce how many people are filed as opposed.
Yeah.
So it is important that we do that.
Exactly. And procedurally, like Lynette says, that because if they tinker with it, if they amend it, that means that they set the thing back to zero. So then you have to refile those things. So it's good to look at on the Illinois General Assembly website. That's www.ilga. When we're asking people to sign in opposition, that you do so to 3158, because that's a good point. And I think that was helpful to us and the other bill we're dealing with, which is an entirely different subject, when, interestingly enough, they read off the proponents and opponents, and there were technically only two, which they really weren't proponents, but I don't remember the opposition, but it was over 200. So, and committee members hear that. Mm-hmm. They're like, oh, okay, 200 people took the time to register in opposition to this, and only two said they're for it. Well, that tells them a little bit of something about what people think about the issue. So in that regard, it does work. Lynette, anything else on composting that we need to talk about? I think, it's pretty simple, right? Yeah.
I do have a couple things to say. Please. They're procedural about the bill. And so if people listening are thinking, well, human composting might not be so bad, maybe I'm okay with it. Here's the other piece. I believe this bill is effective immediately. So once it passes, it's effective immediately, but it has oversight in it, required oversight by the comptroller's office. I know from when they passed the Cemetery Oversight Act, when you have required oversight, by the government, and they don't have time to put those procedures in place before the law goes into effect, it creates chaos. And it did in the cemetery industry for sure when that happened, because now we have all these rules that we're required to follow with databases and things like that that simply didn't exist. And we were required to have all that licensing, all of that, and there was no procedure for that. Also, the licensing in this bill is $250 for like 5 years or something like that. That's not enough money to cover the comptroller's office setting up those procedures. So
No, not
I
even
would
close.
just hope that they would, if they pass it, at least give some time for the processes to catch up with the law before the law becomes effective.
Great.
Yeah.
Great.
And you know, what happens if if we pass this and we have a couple, not everybody's going to be able to do this. You're going to have a specifically built facility for this. So what happens if you have 6 chambers and it takes a very long time to compost, and you have 6 chambers and all of a sudden 12 people die and this is in their will that this is what they want? Where do they go in the meantime? What happens to them?
Yeah, it's not like you can wait
in the meantime.
Right.
You know,
it's not like you can sit in the side and wait. Yeah, right.
Right.
Yeah,
right.
That's a good point. I
So-
didn't think of that either. Yeah, that is a real good point. I didn't think of that at all. Yeah, there's some issues with this. There's some technical issues. There's some philosophical issues. It's not a good idea for many reasons. We'll see what happens with this legislation, but I think it's good that people are made aware of this. This is the kind of thing, and I'm sure people who are listening to this or watching this, you've had this happen to you, I'm sure. You can see the wheels start turning in people's heads, like, you're doing what? There's a lot of like, there's a, as we've said, there's kind of an ick factor to this bill that is a little daunting, I think, to most people.
Yeah, and I get that, people might say, well, in the Bible we all go back to the earth, and things, and I get that. But that's why we have green burials and things like that. Like, I'm not sure that we need to play God and make that process happen any faster than God intended it to, if that makes sense. So
It makes a
even
lot
though
of
I've
sense.
kind of talked about more the non-religious side of this, I did so on purpose today, just to make sure
Yeah.
that people think about that side as well, because I know as Christians, it's brought up to me a lot, that, well, it's just a religious thing. And well, it is a religious thing, but there's also all these other pieces,
Exactly.
as well.
Exactly. Lynette, thanks for taking some time this morning. I'm sure we'll
Absolutely.
be talking again
Thanks for
very
having
soon.
me.
All right, great. Lynette von Haverdbleek, and I'm going to mess up her last name again, but we'll keep trying. From Mount Olivet Memorial Park Cemetery up in the Zion area. So let's do this. Let's take a quick break. This is Bob Gilligan with the Catholic Conference of Illinois. We're going to come back and we're going to talk about the Scholarship Tax Credit Program, what people can do to advocate for it, because that program is scheduled to sunset next year. So we need to act this year. We're going to have Bobby Silvestri, who works at Empower, along with one of the Catholic school principals from St. Mark's School in Peoria, back after this brief message.
We are hiring. Catholic Charities of the Archdiocese of Chicago is looking for mission-driven individuals who want to help make a positive difference in the lives of people in need throughout Cook and Lake counties. Be part of a diverse, talented team of professionals in the largest human services organization in the Midwest. We are dedicated to helping people chart a more stable, happier future for themselves, and we accompany anyone in need, regardless of faith, gender, race, or ethnicity. Competitive salaries and generous benefits add to the satisfaction you'll have every day knowing that you're helping us amplify our impact in Chicago. To see our list of employment opportunities, visit CatholicCharities.net.
I am a seminarian.
The Church needs compassionate and well-trained priests to help guide each of us through life.
What inspires me, what draws me always to the priesthood is continue to see priests be a beacon of hope for other people.
You can play a part in the education of these young men as they prepare for a life of service to others.
I want to be that beacon of hope too. And it sets my heart on fire.
To support our seminarians, make your gift at archchicago.org/seminarian fund or call 312-534-7959.
The cemetery ministry is a core ministry of our Catholic faith tied to the corporal works of mercy. It's comforting to know that our Catholic cemeteries are caring for the remains of our loved ones awaiting the resurrection. There are 44 Archdiocese of Chicago Catholic cemeteries willing to help you in your time of loss. Call 708-449-6100 or visit CatholicCemeteriesChicago.org. Catholic Cemeteries, serving the Catholic community since 1837.
You're listening to Catholic Chicago. Ahead, the Archdiocese of Chicago brings you programs about the people, events, and issues that touch our lives. Thanks for letting us be part of your morning. Now again, Catholic Chicago.
Welcome back, everybody. This is Bob Gilligan of the Catholic Conference of Illinois, and thank you for listening and watching the program here this morning on March 20th. We are trucking right along here, and with that theme, let's go to our next guests. We have a very important topic here. This is about the continuation of the Scholarship Tax Credit Program, which we thoroughly intend that it be continued. On with us right now is Bobby Sylvester. I hope we will see him soon. He is with Empower. He has a very fancy title, which I will never remember. It's called the Director of School and Community Partnerships. Bobby is joined by Dr. Noreen Dillon. She's at St. Mark's School, I believe it is, in Peoria. Did I get that right? Close,
yes, you sure did.
Close enough. Cool. All right. Thank you. Thanks so much for taking some time here to join us. All right. This is an important topic, and we want to make sure that we're doing all we can to advocate for continuing the Scholarship Tax Credit Program. Bobby, why don't you tell us a little bit about where we are in that, what's going on right now, and what are you guys doing with the big push here? I just did the math. We're under 60 days left in the legislative session, so it's game time.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a great way to put it. So right now we are getting ready for our legislative push in May. The legislature meets in the spring session during April and May. So starting April 19th, we're going to be going down to Springfield with great school leaders like Dr. Dillon and parents from across the state to meet with our legislators and talk to them about the tax credit scholarship program and tell them how important it is that they renew or extend the sunset and ideally remove it from being sunsetted at the end of the year. So if we can do that, then this program can continue to do the great work that's been doing to support low-income and working-class families across the state of Illinois.
We've been talking about this program for years, the benefit that it is having on families and on kids, and we've been making that point over and over again. And so if you haven't done so yet, and you are concerned about this program, in the next 60 days is the time to get going. We're going to urge everybody to join Empower. If you can at all get to Springfield, get there. We need to call, write, do whatever we can to contact your state rep, your state senator, and urge them to continue this program. And I'll say this, don't fall into the comfort zone of thinking, well, okay, I know my state rep and state senator, they're okay with it. I don't need to do anything. That is, they might be okay with the program, but we want to make them more okay with the program. We want to make them supportive and do something so it gets continued. And if you think your state rep, your state senator is against this, it's not worth it. Well, we want to move them from being against this to being just kind of quiet about it. So everybody's got something to do. Let's not prejudge where our state reps and state senators are, because we really need to make this happen. Dr. Dillon, why don't you talk a little bit about the importance of this program? I mean, you're a principal. I'm sure you have families in your school who have received the scholarship. And while we're talking, just so people know, on the screen is a little bit about Empower's advocacy thing and how you can get involved and how you can get engaged. But Dr. Dillon, tell us a little bit about the importance of the program as you see it.
I think for our school, it has been a complete game changer in terms of allowing families who might not have been able to afford a Catholic education to be able to come to our school. Just in the last 6 years, the very first year we started with 21 scholarships, and we've over the last couple of years reached as many as 42 scholarships. For our school, that is a great number. We have about 160 students enrolled. And so our free and reduced lunch numbers are nearly 60%. And so the need is still great. So even that seems like a high number, we still have, I think last year we still had over 50 students on our wait list. So it tells me that, each year that number continues to go up in terms of how many people want to actually apply and be involved. We've had the opportunity of also having some new students apply to our school. And it's been great to see families that have initially received the scholarship receive it, again and again over the past years with the additional changes that they made with legislation. So that families who were making that decision to make this switch from another school potentially can stick around a little bit longer because they knew that financing, the funding for their tuition would be there. So it truly has been quite amazing for us. We work really hard to try to raise the funds outside of school. Obviously, we are a tuition-based school, so we don't want to turn anyone away because of the tuition. And so This tax credit scholarship allows us to continue to keep the doors open for students who want a Catholic education.
And I think it's I'm glad we have sort of the geographic diversity here in Peoria, because Peoria is a very important area. The reps and the senators down there are going to be key in terms of whether this program continues or not. So we'll need to get this podcast, this program, out to all people in your school area, because we really need to engage Peoria in particular. That's going to be everybody's important, but I think some areas have reps and senators that are in strategic positions in the legislature that are going to be influential on whether this program continues or not. Dr. Dillon, I think you said something really interesting. You said something like, this affords an opportunity for parents to send their children. And it's so true. In our conversations, Bobby, about this program is we're not advocating that every kid needs to go to a non-public school. I mean, the public schools, they do a fine job. They need resources too. We are advocating for their fair share in funding, because they have a role. We have a role. And I think what we've been trying to say all along is that, not every kid belongs in a public school, and not every kid belongs in a non-public school. But the fact of the matter is many parents out there want this opportunity for their child. They want to be able to send their kid to a non-public school, and it could be for a number of different reasons. It could be for any reason. So I think that's the vital secular importance of this program.
Yeah, you have that exactly right, Bob. We are all about having kids go to their best fit school, and giving parents the option to choose what works best for their kid, regardless of their finances. And so this program does that. And I would also point out that this program was passed as part of a compromise package several years ago, and it included the evidence-based funding model. If you're not familiar with that, that's an additional $350 million that the state of Illinois has committed to public schools, the highest need public schools every single year, due in part to the Invest in Kids Act and the package that was passed together. So the public schools have done very well out of this as well, and that's something that we're going to continue to advocate for as well, that we're going to have greater investments in public schools, and we're going to have this program so that parents have the option to send their kid to a private school if it works best for their kid.
Dr. Dillon, do you have any stories of parents that have received the scholarship, the difference it's made in their lives?
Oh, definitely. I mean, without a doubt, they would maybe not be able to, do what they can do. And like I said, we do our best to make sure that it's affordable. And it's a lot of work, right, for a small school. We have an amazing relationship with our local public school district too. We have a great team that advocates for our students. And so I think what's really important about the students that are attending our school is, they want kind of a smaller, more, I guess you could say, just smaller class sizes. And then it's the same in terms of what they might receive in public schools, similar in the way that we have the special services that the public schools works with us on. So it's we're consistently trying to do as much as we can to serve the students that are in our school. And I think that our parents realize that it's, with this family, small community atmosphere, it allows us to do that. And I think that in itself, too, makes a big difference for families that might have made the change from a bigger school.
You said that 60% of your students are free reduced lunch?
Mm-hmm.
That's a lot. For people who don't know, that is kind of a code talk for families who are sort of lower income, I would say, right? I mean, to get free and reduced lunch, I don't remember what the numbers are anymore because they change all the time, but it's a fairly low income level. So it sounds to me like St. Mark's is serving a significant number of families that don't have much means.
Yes. And another thing, too, that continues to change for our school is our diversity. In terms of diversity, our students that are receiving the scholarships, too, 40% of our students' first language at home is Spanish. So we have a very big Latino population. And so our diversity continues to increase every year. And that's another thing that our families love about our school.
Yeah, that is a nice story. And, Bobby, we've seen that up here, too. Anecdotally, I don't know if you have any numbers, but anecdotally, we've heard a lot of stories like that where schools who historically have not been able to, for one reason or another, serve or have many families who are Hispanic or African-American, seems like that's changing a little bit. It seems like more and more of those kids are now coming to some of our schools, which is a positive for not only those kids, but the kids who have been in the school for years and their families.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, just to jump off what Dr. Dillon was talking about, 67% of our awardees qualify for free or reduced lunch. So that's just kind of off the bat. And it's important to know that every student in this program it has to meet income qualifications. So that is stipulated by the Invest in Kids Act by the state. So all of these kids and families need the support as determined by the state of Illinois. More than 1 in 9 of our awardees is a unique learner. So meaning they're learning a different language. They are an English language learner. They're gifted, or they have an IEP or an individual education plan. So 1 in 9. So that's a lot of our students. And certainly, the diversity numbers are strong. In terms of our awardee demographics, they actually kind of outstrip the ISB norm. So meaning we have more Latino students, more African-American students receiving scholarships than their percentage of the state population. So we're very proud about that. It shows that the funds are going to the schools and the areas and the students that most need it, and so that those families can pick the best school for their child.
And the demand for the program is strong. There have been 40-something thousand scholarships issued, I think, since the program started. But fortunately or unfortunately, my recollection is that for every student that's been awarded a scholarship, there are 3 who are waiting. So that tells me there's people out there that want this program that are not even getting it yet. And I think you said that the same thing, right, Dr. Dillon?
Mm-hmm, definitely. And every year we have a big waiting list. Maybe 2 years we came nearly close to half of our list. So.
Half. Yeah, so you still have half to go. That's fascinating. All right, so let's talk about what people could. We started with just trying to get people to focus that this is now the time to do something. Bobby, you guys are organizing, you indicated, trips to Springfield, all expense paid trip to Springfield, Illinois, just what you needed, right? And and it is fun. We see you're down there a lot. I'm down there a lot, and it is fun and energetic to see, especially people who've never done it before. You give them a blue shirt, they walk around the Capitol, they can meet with their state rep. Sometimes you have very good conversations. Sometimes they're difficult. Sometimes they're fun. It can kind of range the gamut. But tell us a little bit about how to do it. We want to get as many people down there as possible. If people are interested, what do they do? Where do they go? How do they do it? And you guys provide great lunches too. So if you want a good lunch, come to Springfield.
Sure. Yeah, well, so certainly if you're interested in learning more, I think there's a couple things that you can do, or you want to get more involved. So the first is you can always reach out to the Empower Illinois team. So our phone number is 800, so 800-616-7606. And you'll get directed to the appropriate person if you call that number. So you can just say, hey, I'm interested in coming to Springfield. I'm in whatever town. It's very likely that we have a school there, that we're a partner in that community. So we'll be able to connect you with the local folks who are organizing to come down to Springfield. You can also certainly contact me. My email is Bobby, Bobby, at empowerillinois.org, and Illinois is spelled out. So Bobby, B-O-B-B-Y, at empowerillinois.org. I would be happy to plug you in to the appropriate trip. And then finally, you can always contact your local Catholic school or your local private school.
Right.
We at Empower Illinois, we're proud that we're a statewide scholarship granting organization. We partner with almost every single private school, 92% of the private schools in the state of Illinois. So that includes our non-Catholic schools as well. So you could reach out to your local private school, and they will assuredly have heard that we're going to Springfield. We're calling our state legislator, and they'll be able to plug you into their efforts, and then you'll be able to come down with us to Springfield. And we're going to be there from April 19th through May 19th. So there's going to be 20 session days. So it's even less than the 60 you said, Bob. It's only 20 that they're going to be down there. So we got to make sure that we have good representation from around the state. So please do come out. It is a great time. We have a lot of fun. And we look forward to seeing people down there.
They do. They have a lot of fun. It's a worthwhile experience. It takes time. It takes the day. I'm not going to hide that, but it's worth going down and engaging in the political process at a very minimal way. They make it as easy as possible to do so. There'll be many other people with you, so don't feel like you have to be an expert. They'll have many other people around you who know the program. There's professional staff that Empower has that organize this, and so they know what they're doing. So don't feel like you have to be an expert or anything like that. But the stakes are high because we really want to get this program continued. And we're going to see a lot of activity on this program in the next, as you said, the 20 session days or the 60 calendar days between now and when this is over. And one other thing, we're just going to be advocating for the continuance of the program for it to continue. So there's not even a bill number yet. There's not a House Bill 1, 2, 3, 4. You don't have to get involved in all that sort of inside baseball stuff. The request is really simple, which is just that the scholarship tax credit program be continued beyond its sunset date of this year. And lawmakers know, because it's been talked about ad nauseum over the last couple weeks and months, and so they're prepared. So we just need to show that there's more support out there than even they thought there was. Bobby, thanks so much for taking some time this morning. And Dr. Dillon, I know as a principal, your day is full of all sorts of expected and unexpected events. So I know how difficult it is for you guys to break away. So we really do appreciate it. So once again, let's get involved and advocate for the continuation of the Scholarship Tax Credit Program. Thanks for joining us, guys.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Goodbye. So that's our show for today. Wrapping up, we were fortunate enough to be joined by Molly Rumley talking about the attack on the crisis pregnancy centers. So we're urging people to call and write about Senate Bill 1909. We are also concerned about that bill on human composting. That bill number is 3158. Asking you also to call and write about that. And also, the other important issue we discussed today is the Scholarship Tax Credit Program. That is very simple, that we are asking you to call, write, and really, if you can all do it, to get part of Empower's trips to go down to Springfield with the blue shirt they will provide along with lunch and transportation down there to advocate for the continuation of the Scholarship Tax Credit Program. This is our March program. We'll be talking about the Scholarship Tax Credit Program again in our April program. So if there's any questions at all, to call or contact your local Catholic school. They can patch you into Empower. You can contact Empower, as Bobby indicated. He gave his contact information, or also the Catholic Conference of Illinois. We are always available to assist you. That is www.ilcatholic.org, and you can direct your attention to anyone on our staff. So that's our program here on Monday, March 20th. A lot going on. I'm sure there's going to be a lot going on in April, too, as we approach the conclusion of the legislative session. Thank you for listening, everybody. Thank you for watching. This is Bob Gilligan of the Catholic Conference of Illinois. Have a great day and a great week.
Join us every Monday through Friday at this time for Catholic Chicago. You can stream our programs live or listen to past programs by visiting our website, archchicago.org, and clicking on Radio TV. And please connect with Catholic Chicago on social media.